Seeing way too much Philadelphia, Pennsylvania talk today.
As the leader of this Commonwealth, I'm responsible for the health and safety of all Pennsylvanians. And I can't and I will not let this virus ravage our communities.
Pennsylvania, which you see the spike here back in early April, then it flattens out, frustrating and flat, starting to trend down as Pennsylvania now starts its reopening. Down a little bit, about 1,000 cases a day still. The governor says, I waited, I've got this right, now much of my state is ready to reopen.
As the leader of this Commonwealth, I'm responsible for the health and safety of all Pennsylvanians. And I can't and I will not let this virus ravage our communities. Yellow counties have been determined to have a lower risk of virus spread. Red counties, on the other hand, have been determined to have a higher risk of virus spread. Now, I understand all residents are eager to get back to regular business operations, and I'm lifting restrictions and will continue to do so as quickly as I think it's safe.
Politics is increasingly a complicated.
Just has a similar style to it. So there's the $50 bill folded up with the dam coming over, with all the birds flying up in the background when the levees broke. That area. It's green. It's a rectangle. The windows. Third floor. Seventeenth and JFK.
Factor in this reopening debate. Pennsylvania State Capitol, the scene of protests on Friday. That one day after President Trump traveled to Pennsylvania and chastised Governor Wolf. After President Trump traveled to Pennsylvania and chastised Governor Wolf.
You have to get your governor of Pennsylvania to start opening up a little bit. You have areas
Opening up. To open up the pit.
of Pennsylvania that are barely affected, and they want to keep them closed.
Show us the areas, Trump.
Now, the bulk of Pennsylvania is reopened. You see the map there. Counties in
Damn
red
sure
still
do.
on lockdown, but those in yellow can drop some restrictions.
What is this, a match? It's like Pittsburgh versus Philadelphia. More than half of Philadelphia counties now in a yellow phase.
Yellow status allows in-person retail, but no dine-in eating. Childcare can reopen. Gatherings limited to 25 people. Pittsburgh is beginning that process, and the mayor, Bill Peduto, is with us live this morning.
Trying to affect policy, we always have a true north, which is public health. And we go through this process as part of a learning curve.
If you look, I'm going to put up some numbers. Pittsburgh is in Allegheny County, of course. Again, 1,595 confirmed cases. You don't want that. You see here
45 days. As soon as that hits, 7 days.
Bad case. Every death is horrible. A relatively low number if you look at the eastern part of your state.
143. One more.
If you look, I'm going to put up some numbers. Pittsburgh is in Allegheny County, of course. Again, 1,595 confirmed cases. You don't want that. You see here the drop in the 7-day moving average here.
Once it gets to 45. One more.
Every case is a bad case. Every death is horrible. A relatively low number if you look at the eastern part of your state, Philadelphia area, the suburbs there.
It's Philadelphia. It just keeps getting mentioned. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, reopening.
Start from a position, I'm going to say strength.
2 days, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's a lot of things happen on Tuesday and Wednesday.
There are no good words in the middle of this pandemic. Are there things that you're allowed to do that that you will not do yet, that you'll be even more cautious than what you're allowed to do?
Yeah, and on Friday for the city, we're the first major city in Pennsylvania to start to reopen. We laid out for our residents a system aligned with the governor's green, yellow, red. And what our operation plan is.
That's the Penn Center
and
8
based
building.
it all around the facts that are being
Get into that right now, but it's going to be a transition. That's a transition quarter. We're going to do well in the fourth quarter, and I think next year, with all of the stimulus, all of the things we've done,
3 in a row.
we're going to have one of the best economic years we've ever had.
Dr. Fauci
There's a
is saying
boom
a different thing. He
the
says
20th
he's
and the
worried about
21st of May.
spikes turning into outbreaks. He said
2020.
it seems like it could be too
3 in a
soon,
row.
and that
4
the major
altogether.
message he wants to convey spikes turning
4
into outbreaks.
in 1 hour.
He said it seems like
In 1 hour.
it could be too
L.
soon, and that the major message he wants to convey is that
We'll do well in 4Q. And that boom on those 2 days. Some dark days coming up in Philadelphia. You know, it could possibly be the Church of Philadelphia first. And then 3 weeks later, it's the actual boom that takes place now in Center City with the William Penn building. But it's definitely Philadelphia.
is
And
that
right
the
after that,
danger
Trump wants
is,
to reopen
if you
right
skip
then and
all the
there.
checkpoints and the guidelines to open to the danger of
After
multiple
reopening.
outbreaks.
So Anthony is a good person, very good person. I've disagreed with him.
Stays
when
on
I
there.
closed the border to China, he disagreed with that, and then ultimately he agreed. He said I saved hundreds of thousands of lives, which is what happened.
President Trump, the video on the 19th. It'll be terrible. It'll be a terrible plague. And we know how to put it out. What Trump's saying here, it sounds like it's coming from the heart, and it sounds like this ain't going to continue. Like, it's going to get to a certain point, but if it was up to certain people,
I think the people that want to see the right thing happen, they agree with me. We have to get our country open. You know, it was up to some people. Let's keep it closed for a long time, okay? A long time, and watch the United States go down the tubes. Not going to happen.
is there anybody out there that feels that way? That isn't here in the United States anymore? But you know that the United States is going under? Anybody out there?
Never going to happen on my
I want
watch.
to ask you, I mean, do you see
When you talk about damage, that can never be replaced. We're going to lose over 100,000 perhaps in this country.
144,000.
That's at the bottom level
be exact.
of the scale. We would have lost 2 million. We would have lost more if we did it a different way. You know what that is? 182 miles. We'll be at close to 500 miles by early next year.
of new wall?
Brand new, all brand new.
May 20th, 21st. That 5th trumpet. 182 miles of wall. You know what that is? The 182 miles of wall? It's a dragon building that wall. The Lincoln.
And renovated too, but I'm not even talking about that. We're talking about over 500 miles of wall. And you have to understand, I had a party tell me they want open borders, they want people pouring
This is
in.
the new
And even they don't mention it, you notice? I have
border
water
wall.
financing. They didn't even bother with it at the end because I turned out to be right. They didn't want to be the party that was opposed to having walls and having strong borders. China, I made a great trade deal. The ink wasn't dry when the plague came
His
over from
blood.
China. But the ink wasn't even dry.
His
They
blood.
didn't tell you about it when they came here on the 15th.
As soon as he says, talking about his ink not being dry, which I interpret as blood, President Trump dealing with the coronavirus. Don't forget about China and AdMed. It's President Trump dealing with his coronavirus that they didn't tell you he has yet.
15th of January and shook everybody's
That was
hands.
never even a subject. That was not anything that anybody really understood or knew about at the time.
So she's talking about shaking everybody's hands, referring to him like being in contact with people.
But China, I'm very disappointed in China. But I don't give our past presidents and leaders a lot of credit because they got taken to the cleaners. And worst of all was the last 8 years under President Obama and Biden.
Now, Obama obviously is coming back into the picture. He's been talked about now. He's talking about him. He's mentioned the 8 years, the beast of the 7th and of the 8th year.
So his son gets $1.5 billion, and then they're supposed to be tough on China. Doesn't work that way.
He traveled on Air Force Two.
Yeah, he used his father. His father got him to hundreds. Look, we have tremendous powers that other people don't have. We have tremendous job capacity, and I think what's going to happen is next year is going to be one of our best years.
That are
Third quarter, 3 in a row, transition, 4 of them, 4 in 1 hour.
Are there states out there that
The 20th,
have become a model
21st.
for you?
Well, it'll be incredible.
Florida as well.
It's going to be incredible.
What can you tell us about the openings?
President Trump
We're making thousands
doing
of
well.
ventilators now a week.
That's when he resurrects from his virus death. But the state opening wouldn't be doing well without federal help. President Trump doing well. Right after that, President Trump is becoming leader in ventilation and COVID-19, the test.
This is us in the blue.
You're up to 10 million.
Now look at this, over 10 million tests.
So we get to a place where the White House is in corporate America, where every time you go to work, you just get your temperature taken, you get a test. Is that where we're going?
You don't want to be doing that. Look, we want to go back.
Today's May 17th, 2020. Back on April 19th, at the Wawa, it's when it was mandatory to wear the mask. April 19th at 8 p.m. PA Department of Health will require customers entering the store to wear a mask or a face covering. And I'm just telling you, on that day that I posted April 18th, 2020, that the next step is the test requirement sign, then the vaccine requirement sign.
To a place where the White House is in corporate America, where every time you go to work, you just get your temperature taken, you get a test. Is that where we're going?
You don't want to be doing that. Look, we want to go back to, like, you want to see a baseball game, or you want to see a basketball or football, you want to walk into a stadium. I went to the Alabama LSU game last year. They had 110,000 people in the stadium. I don't want to see 25,000 people where you have empty seats all over the place
When do
because
you
of
think we
distance.
could get back to that, Mr. President?
I
How
think
long
we're
is
gonna
this
have
going
a
to take to get back to
vaccine.
normalcy?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a vaccine by the end of the year. We're doing very well with the vaccine. And I will tell you something, I just literally left a meeting. We're mobilizing our military and other forces, but we're mobilizing our military on the basis that we do have a vaccine. You know, it's a massive job to give this vaccine.
The vaccine is the truth in the world, period. The truth.
Military is now being mobilized, so at the end of the year, we're going to be able to give it to a lot of people very, very rapidly.
And you're just doing something with syringes as well. So
The military is being mobilized.
Our military is now being mobilized, so at the end of the year, we're going to be able to give it to a lot of people very, very rapidly.
And you're just doing something with syringes as well, so that you can have it plentiful.
That's
You
right.
have enough vaccine.
We will have the tremendous force, because assuming we get it, then you have to distribute it.
Right.
And unless you're mobilized and ready, you're not going to be able to do it for a long time. We're starting.
President Trump's head wound is going to be.
That by the end of the year, we're going to have a. Then you have to distribute it.
His head wound's going to be.
Unless you're mobilized and ready, you're not going to be able to do it for.
$1 trillion. Kevin McCarthy's been tweeting about this, and apparently it includes diversity provisions for the marijuana business. It includes tax breaks for blue state donors, federal.
Blue state donors. It's blue versus red. They want the red out.
Election takeover that mandates mail-in voting.
And that's what that is, a takeover by the the blue bloods that are getting
It includes diversity provisions for the marijuana business. It includes tax breaks for blue state donors, federal election takeover that mandates mail-in voting.
that sounds like the 20th of May, the takeover, the 21st, May 21st, the 20th, the blue bloods taking over the airwaves.
What is your take on proxy votes and mail-in voting? This is part of the speaker's stimulus package.
So she in Wisconsin.
Now this is about Pelosi knows her stimulus. The stimulus is dead on arrival. President Trump is dead on arrival. President Trump's going to be pronounced dead of something, whatever it is. But he's going to be doing well, as I showed you, somewhere within the 15-minute period that he was doing well. And this is how I read their language.
By a lot.
So right after this being dead,
Congressman Tom Tiffany.
I have a feeling there's a party.
And in California,
And then
we're
it
just
looks
getting
like
the
they
numbers,
won
and
big.
It looks like we won that big. And
Key word. It looks like we won big. California, Hollywood, actors. Looks that way.
he's been a tremendous candidate, Mike Garcia. He went out, he worked, and he won, and he took back a seat from the
That's actually Michael doing that.
Democrats in California. Think of that. In an area that nobody thought possible. It was held by a Democrat, as you know, a Democrat who had a lot of problems. And Mike went out and he won that seat. These are two now the precedent.
So Mike won that seat already. Michael already won that seat.
Isn't even right. But if we lost those seats, it would be headline news. Rough time for Trump. Because I'm running against Sleepy Joe Biden, but I'm also running against the Democrat machine, and I'm running and you see how bad they are with all of the things that are coming out. When you look at
Time to start fleeing from the fear of the noise.
Given to you just now as we sit down, but I'm running Weaver and
I'm running against some really stupid Republicans that don't understand God.
Say, gee, we've rebuilt our military. We've taken care of our vets. Our vets are in the best shape. You've never was against crooked Hillary Clinton.
Trump's
She's
one-on-one
never gotten over it either.
with
Well, she's been tweeting already saying that we have
One-on-one
to vote by mail.
with
now,
Trump.
I know that there was interference in the 2016 election. They have to vote by mail. Now, I know that there was interference in the 2016 election.
Here comes the
They were
assassination.
out to get you and they wanted to take you down. There's another kind of interference out to get you and they wanted to take you down. There's another kind of interference. And that why would Nancy Pelosi come up with this $3 trillion plan? And she knows it's dead on arrival. She knows nobody's going to go for marijuana business. She knows it's dead on arrival. She knows nobody's going to go for marijuana.
And despite
President Trump.
if she does it, because she got thousands
Democrats
of votes.
killed that off.
Races were very close. Our vice president very healthy, and I'll stay healthy.
Which means both of them are going to die soon.
Never going to happen. She would be a disaster. Look, her whole life was a fraud. If Elizabeth Warren just got out before Super Tuesday, it would be Bernie. I don't care who it is. It doesn't matter. I actually would prefer Joe. I think I'd prefer Joe.
How about COVID-19
But
on Super
a
Tuesday?
lot of people wonder, is he going to be the candidate?
But how will you be positioning yourself for the election? Because people voted for you because they trusted your economic smarts. They knew you could turn things around for the economy and business. You're a business,
And I did.
first business president, exactly. But now we've got 33 million people filing for unemployment. We've got 20%.
Nobody blames me for that.
33.
Look,
Unemployment
we had a
protection.
turn off our country. We're the greatest, as
So
we
will you
said.
position yourself differently going into
No,
this
I don't
election?
think so. I'm going to do it again. I got a beautiful thing to watch. It was, I even said, we've given the largest tax cut in history. If we weren't so strong as a country, we wouldn't even exist right now. We built an incredible machine. It was a beautiful thing
Yeah,
to
it's
watch.
called
It was, I even
Locusts
said,
rise from the pit.
3 months the car's over, no tax. if we want to sell a car over there, it's an impossibility.
I feel like we've been talking about this for 3 years.
Yeah.
You've been
We have been.
opening the spotlight on this for
And I've
3
made
years.
You're right. Ever since
I'm going to Pennsylvania Thursday.
we're going there.
What
Ever
is
since
this
April
about?
2nd,
This is totally to see
2017.
what kind of manufacturing we can do here.
It's
right?
about manufacturing. I want to bring it all back. And I've been, look, there's nothing good about what happened with the plague, okay?
Plague.
Especially the death. But the one thing is, it said Trump was right. Because I was getting a lot of fight back, even from people that I like a lot in Congress, etc. And now they're not fighting.
I can't wait until that day happens, Trump. I feel you.
We have a supply chain where they're made in
Tired
all
of fighting
different
people.
parts of the world, and one little piece
Just
of the
let it
world
happen
is bad,
already.
and the whole thing is messed up. That's bad. Is they stop people leaving.
Trump.
Nobody could go to China.
The COVID-19.
You couldn't go to Beijing, you couldn't
Trump
go
should have
anywhere in
been
China,
put out.
But you could go to the rest of the world. Italy, Spain, France became
Trump.
very, very badly infected. Infected is
On
a
the
terrible
response
word, isn't it? It all
in the
became
US.
a horror show, and then I closed it because I didn't want people coming in from Europe, if you can believe it. This is
It's funny because you have the Christ figure and the Antichrist figure, which is being thrown out there in the mainstream media because all of a sudden Barack Obama's coming back into the picture and they're having like this beef or something. They're having like a quarrel or some because Obama doesn't like the way that the Christ figure is handling things. So he's saying that. Well, let's hear what he has to say. Oh, no, let's go with this one first.
House Trade Advisor Peter Navarro joins me now to discuss that and more. Good evening, Peter. I would like to start with a comment made by former President Barack Obama at a commencement speech just a few hours ago, where he knocked the folks in charge, basically saying that the government officials in charge of responding to coronavirus told it that they were incompetent and that they obviously don't know what they're doing. A lot of them aren't even pretending to be in charge. What say you in response to that?
A cure for this horrible plague before offering a darker assessment of his predecessor.
He was an incompetent president, that's all I can say, grossly incompetent.
Trump responding to comments from former President Barack Obama in a virtual graduation ceremony where he accused the government of a real-world failing on coronavirus.
This pandemic has finally torn back the curtain on the idea that so many of the folks in charge know what they're doing.
Obama's comments mark his first public rebuke of President Trump's handling of the pandemic.
Me myself being made out as the bad guy here, and that's perfectly fine because I intend to be if things keep going the way they're going. Robin, you question me, question who I know. Derek Bro's clearly said.
Derek is who you know. Everybody speaks the same language. When you're mentioning who I know, and then the very next word with a pause, the name is Derek, it's true what I said. Period. So the only thing I want people to do is just tell the truth about what they're doing behind the scenes, because they have to tell the truth anyway. It's coming out. Just sooner or later. It's however long people want to hold the truth in for.
But you endorse them. These are your people now, Robin. You talk to them a lot. You know them. They're not tricking you, right? Okay. Remember?
See, everybody's tricking me. But that's the thing. I'm from the outside looking in, being tricked, being deceived left and right, everybody lying to me. And then there's a whole army of people on the inside that have all the answers, but sneakily just don't really want to say it out loud. So I just have to read between the lines and figure these things out. Yeah, I've been tricked by many people over this past 3 years. And Steve is one of them. He tricked me big time. I mean, I said make a stand for SJD, and then I said to stand on SJD, a year later, then a year after that, I said, it's time to make a stand, or it's time to understand SJD. I went from one end to the other and then to the truth. So it's the same thing with Click, and it's the same thing with Derek. Click is in repent mode, according to what you're saying, the only one in the group or something. But how did Click get into repent mode? Did it have anything to do with your words on YouTube for the past 3 years? Or did it have anything to do with my words on YouTube for the past 3 years?
These are your people now, Robin. You talk to them a lot?
I told everybody, all my enemies. I loved all of my enemies, including you, Justin. Including you. It's not going to stop. It's just this is some kind of world script being played out in front of all of us, so we're all trying to figure out where we stand. And
You know them. They're not tricking you, right? Okay. Remember when I let you know about Steve the first time?
Yeah.
I'm acting. I'm acting a whole lot right now.
so there's the plug being pulled on us. I mean, it's just obvious there's a plug being pulled from the 19th to the 26th. There's some dark days coming up for Philadelphia, for the Church of Philadelphia. The angel of the Church of Philadelphia is going to have a little bit of strength left.
That's just because my father has me walking certain people to the pit. And don't let your commenters confuse you. I have no correlation with the black Hebrews or whatever that's called. I would never endorse black supremacy or Native American supremacy or Asian supremacy or Middle Eastern supremacy or European supremacy. See, the word supremacy is where the issue comes about. But unfortunately, out of your little trio of gods, Robin, Clark's the only one that I haven't caught on with that stuff. Ask Derek why he's never explained his staff and thy rod comforts me in my spine, in the white skin and the blue and green eyes and aching and Lil. Why won't he explain that? Oh, here's that.
Because he's talking about you, Justin. The rod that comforts him.
Pride you were talking about, Robin? He won't explain that because he's afraid that my response will make a lot more sense than his video. So once again, to your newfound human gods, Robin,
That doesn't sound like love. And when a king is born and takes over, it's the king that actually shows his people love. Just take it from Derek, the one that told you that.
You're a king. Kings, where we come from, serve. We're lower than everybody else. We serve. That's why Jesus was washing the feet and said, you'll understand what this means later. That's how a king is truly loved. Because he serves for real. For real, he serves his people. He doesn't stand on high and dictate and tell people, oh, I'm so much smarter and better than you.
Robin, you question me, question who I know. Derek Bros clearly said that the only offspring of Enkian and Lil on the earth had white skin, blue eyes, and green eyes. Steve has said in the past couple weeks that Prince Harry should take his half-breed wife back out of Steve's country.
Alright, well, obviously you're referring to Inky being you. You've already told me that. and also Prince Harry with a half-breed wife. So let's say you're Prince Harry. Hey, Prince Harry, it's nice to meet you. I met you in person, remember? Remember I was your friend the entire way through, and then there was like a turning and then a fallout and a comeback, and then some other pretend outbreak. I'm just hoping it's a pretend outbreak, because if it's a serious one, then things were fake from the beginning. If it's a pretend one, I understand, because it is a script. Some people are told who they are. Some people are told that they're Inky. Some people are told that they're Prince Harry. Some people were told a bunch of things that were going to happen, but Kleck always talks about those broken promises.
I have many friends. Michaela Pereira from CNN. She's a friend of mine. Grew up with her in 100 Mile House, British Columbia. She has zero clue. She's a robot. Zero clue. None. I have so many friends in the industry. The film industry, everywhere. No clue. They're oblivious. Reason why? They are 1000% attached to what they do. It is their God. They have become their own God for their own sake, for their own purpose, for selfishness.
Once again, to your newfound human gods, Robin.
Zero clue. She's a robot. Zero clue. Oblivious. Reason why? They are 1000% attached to what they do. It is their God. They have become their own God for their own sake, for their own purpose, for selfishness. You're a king. Kings, where we come from, serve. We're lower than everybody else. We serve. That's why Jesus was washing the feet and said, you'll understand what this means later. That's how a king is truly loved, because he serves. For real. For real, he serves. He doesn't stand on high and dictate and tell people, oh, I'm so much smarter and better than you. If you want to lead somebody and you want to be their king, the only way you can lead them is to show them what it is to love like a king. And then once they see that type of kingdom love, well, now the love
The
that the
rulers.
world says is kingdom love doesn't fly. I promise you right now, the very definition of love, the very understanding of love, 99% of the population has zero understanding of it. That's how bent, that's how wicked we've become. So let's continue this, because what I'm going to be showing you here is that South Korea, as the definition, is the model that they will be using. They're already doing it. They're already talking about what an amazing job South Korea has done.